Good morning, students. I hope you have revised what we studied earlier. And now, let's start with the last part of the first chapter of the book, Our Pasts. Now, did you notice the title of this book, Our Pasts? The word pasts is used in plural to draw attention to the fact that the past was different for different groups of people. For example, the lives of herders or farmers were different from those of kings and queens. The lives of merchants were different from those of craftspersons, and so on. Also, as is true even today, people followed different practices and customs in different parts of the country. For example, today most people living in the Andaman Islands get their own food by fishing, hunting and collecting forest produce. By contrast, most people living in cities depend on others for supplies of food. Differences such as these existed in the past as well. Besides, there is another kind of difference. We know a great deal about kings and the battles they fought because they kept records of their victories. Generally, ordinary people such as hunters, fishing folk, gatherers, farmers or herders did not keep records of what they did. While archaeology helps us to find out about their lives, there is much that remains unknown. Now, what do dates mean? If somebody asks your birth date, you will probably mention the day, month and year 2000 and something. These years are counted from the date generally assigned to the birth of Jesus Christ, the founder of Christianity. So 2000 means 2000 years after the birth of Christ. All dates before the birth of Christ are counted backwards and usually have the letters BC before Christ added on. Sometimes we find AD before dates. This stands for two Latin words, Anno Domini, meaning in the year of the Lord, that is Christ. So 2012 can also be written as AD 2012. Sometimes CE is used instead of AD and BCE instead of BC. The letters CE stand for Common Era and BCE for Before Common Era. We use these terms because the Christian era is now used in most countries of the world. In India, we began using this form of dating from about 200 years ago. And sometimes the letters BP, meaning before present, are used. Okay, with this, the first chapter gets over. Now we will be having exercises. Question 1 is match the following. I hope you remember how we have to write the match the following. The questions are Narmada Valley, Magad, Garo Hills, Indus and its tributaries, Ganga Valley. This we studied in the map. You had to remember that. Now the answer for that is given in the next slide. Solution for the match the following. Narmada Valley, hunting and gathering. Magad, the first big kingdom. Garo Hills, early agriculture. Indus and its tributaries, the first cities. Ganga Valley, cities about 2500 years ago. Question 2. List one major difference between manuscripts and inscriptions. We know manuscripts were written by hand on palm leaf or on specially prepared bark of a tree known as the birch, which grows in the Himalayas, and inscriptions were written with the help of tools on relatively hard surfaces such as stone or metal. Question 3. How anyone can know what has happened 100 years ago? We can know what happened 100 years ago by reading the books written in past, by manuscripts, by inscriptions, and by studying tools and weapons and all other things that the archaeologists dug out from the surface of the earth. Question 4. Make a list of all the objects that archaeologists may find. Which of these could be made of stone? Archaeologists may find these things in their findings: potteries, statues, ornaments, tools, skeletons, toys, clothes. Out of these, potteries, statues and ornaments can be made up of stones. Why do you think ordinary men and women did not generally keep records of what they did? Answer. Ordinary men and women did not keep record of what they did because of two reasons. First, their life was full of difficulties. Second, they would not be having enough time of recording their lives. Now, the last question. Describe at least two ways in which you think the lives of kings would have been different from those of farmers. First difference. Farmers produced food grains and kings had to protect their subjects. Farmers lived a life full of difficulties, whereas the lives of kings were comfortable. That's the end of the chapter's explanation as well as exercises. Since 2 days you were not given any homework, so today you have to write the homework for all 3 days. You have to write all the exercises once in your book.